Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Ronell, and on today's 64 marketing tutorial, I'm going to show you how to remix and recreate this Facebook ad image inside of Photoshop. That way, you will learn how to create Facebook ad images like the pros, and you'll learn how easy it is. As you can see, I already have a preset set up, and that's one thing I recommend you doing. Right now, just make sure that all of your settings match mine. Just go in here for this ad is going to be for the desktop news feed, and then you could just create presets for any other different ad placements. Or if I get enough feedback, people asking, I'll show you how to make it for the other ones too. But for this desktop news feed ad, the dimensions are 1200 wide by 628 pixels high. And then you just keep the resolution on 72 and the color mode on RGB, and just make sure that all of your settings match this right here. Pause the video, and once you make sure that all of your settings are correct, just come over here to save preset, and then you can name it whatever you want, Facebook ad image. And then once you press OK and you save it, then you'll have a bunch of presets inside of here. All right, you can see we have the two images of the two handsome gentlemen. We have a block, and we have another block. We have some text. We have some bold text, some regular text. We have a lower third that has a fade or gradient. We have a logo right here, and we have some lowercase text. Okay, cool. So first what we're going to do is we're going to create the blocks. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to bring this image over. So just to make sure I remove the lock because it was set as the background, just double click it. I mean, well, I don't think you're going to have that set up, but just in case you do and you want to move a background or something, just double click it and then press enter, and then you'll be able to move it around. All right, cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to resize this. All you have to do is press Control T. Then you're going to grab one of these corners and you're going to hold Alt and Shift. That way it resizes from all sides at the same time and it locks in like this. That way I could get in here and I can see what's going on a little bit better. Now I probably shouldn't have moved that around. All right, cool. So we'll get back inside of here, and this is about good. All I need to do is just see this image. That way I could use it as a reference. Yo. All right, cool. So to create our blocks, you could come over here and hit the shape tools. That way we could get our rectangles. But I'm gonna just hit U. Now we have that block set up. Now we're going to what I'm going to do is to duplicate this, or you could hit Control J to duplicate, or what you can do is you could press Alt while you have the move tool selected, grab the object you want to move, you want to duplicate, hit Shift, that way it stays in line. That way, even if you go like this, it still stays in line. And as you can see, the smart guys will lock in. It looks like it's all the same thing, but it's not. We're just going to bring this over to the side, all the way to the far edge. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just change the color of this, just so we can see. As a matter of fact, let me keep this on top. All right, cool. So I think this is a little bit too big. Move it over a bit. All right. And you could just... all I'm doing is just resizing like I did before. So we just hitting Control T, and that's going to bring up the resize, the transform. And we're going to slide it over, and it's going to lock. And then we're just going to hit enter, or just hit the check. Check. All right, cool. Now what I need to do, I need to go grab myself some images. And I already have a bunch of images. I already have the images that I need for this. And I'll have these set up inside of a zip file, the project file, so you can work with them. The same files that I'm working with, yo. All right, we're gonna hit enter on that, enter on this, enter on this. Now these are the headshots that I'm gonna use, and I got these ones for free from this cool website called Pixabay, and I just typed in headshot, and these are the images that came up. And you can get your graphics from there if you want, or any other site that you want to use. It's on you. It's your world. It's your thing. Do what you want to do with it. But that's a cool place if you want to go find these images, or you could just download them inside the link that's in the description. So yeah, all right, cool. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just use this right here. I'm gonna just place this right here. All right, this one is going to go over here. So I'm gonna use this for the email. And, or matter of fact, it wasn't even supposed to be that one. It's supposed to be a regular logo. All right, cool. So just off of these two images right here. All right, cool. So now we have that set up like this. And this webinar is obviously going to be way more interesting than this webinar because, I mean, look at, you got these photos and these photos. Two handsome gentlemen, but these two ladies look way more interesting. All right, cool. So now what we need to do is that we have the block, we have the unblock set up. And we have the headshots, the photos that we want to use. Now what we have to do is cut them out and put layer masks on them. And then we're going to put some strokes on them. Okay, cool. So first what we're going to need to do that is we're going to need to come over here to the shape tool. And now that we have the shape set up. All right, cool. So all you would do is just hit the ellipse tool, come out here and draw. Now, one thing I forgot to tell you is that with the ellipse tool selected, you moving your ellipse tool around. All you have to do is just click on the screen and drag it out. But what you're going to end up doing is creating an ellipse. And that's the circle. What you want is a perfect circle. So what you're going to do is while you're dragging it out, just hit shift and it'll drag out and it'll stay a perfect circle. Now, if you wanted to do an ellipse or something, then you do that. But if you wanted a perfect circle, you just hit shift while you're dragging it out. I probably should have said that when I started. All right, cool. So since I already have this one set up perfectly, all I'm going to do is just duplicate it the same way with the move tool selected. The move tool is pressing the V key. And then you would hit Alt with the layer selected and then hit shift. That way it stays in line. As you can see, everything is lined up perfectly. Perfectly? Perfectly. Perfect. All right, cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the images for both women. Then we're going to place them on top of the ellipses. The ellipses, we're going to place them on top of the circles. All right, cool. So now what we're going to do is right click on the layer. And we're going to go to create clipping mask. And what it's going to do is it's going to fall into the circle. That's the way you got to look at it. Like you can see it right here. Hey, you have the layer and you have the little arrow going down right inside of the ellipse. The ellipse. Well, it definitely wouldn't be an ellipse. But we're going to do the same thing to the other one. And as you can see, just with it selected, right click, go to create clipping mask. And as you can see, we have the image inside of the circle. Now, one thing you can do is once you have the layer mask selected, if you want to adjust it after the fact, you could just grab one of these corners like we did before, Alt and Shift, and you can move it around. And you can get different looks if that's what you want to do. But this is perfect, exactly what I want. So we're going to leave it just like that. All right, now looking at this image, you can see that there's a white stroke going around, and I want to duplicate that stroke. Okay, matter of fact, I set it up. I looked the wrong way. Would this thing stop telling me? I know I'm running out of space. I get it. All right, cool. So what we'll do is we'll just put this on here, and then we'll just put this on here, change that to here. Or matter of fact, what I could do is just use the eyedropper tool and choose here. Yeah, it's a little bit too dark, a little bit too bright. I don't know. I'll leave it like that and we'll figure it out. All right, cool. Now, in order to get the stroke, what we need to do is the stroke, we're going to have to put the stroke on the shape. So to get the stroke, the white outline is called strokes. That way you'll know what to look for. Like you're thinking of the outline, but it's not called outlines, it's called strokes. And as you can see, we already have a half decent stroke. Now we're going to come over to the stroke properties inside the structure, and we're going to say that we want this one to be 8. I think that's about right. Because you don't want it to be ridiculous, cartoonish. I mean, you might want to, like, who knows? You might want 100, and that might be the look that you're going to get. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't get the look that you want. You get the look you want. This is your world. All right, cool. So I'm going to just put it on 8. 8 looks decent. And here's another property, the position. You can have it on the inside or the outside. If you have the outside, it'll expand from the outside, and if you do it from the inside, it'll start from the outside and going in. And then if you do it from the center, from the center of the line, like the outline or the boundary of the shape, and then it'll decide where it's going to put it. So I just like to keep mine on the inside just to make it, just to cut inside. And you could change that up however you want it to look. You could change the color of the stroke. Like you can make them all black if you want. You could whenever inside of Photoshop, you always see these color pickers or the color chooser, and it brings up the color picker, the stroke color. Well, you could just select with the eyedropper, you could select any color that's inside the document. So you could have it be the color of a shirt, the color of the design, whatever you want it to be. I'm gonna leave it simple because we're trying to duplicate the look here. I'd like to also apologize to anyone that thought this was going to be a fast tutorial. It's relatively fast. We're going to do the same thing. Matter of fact, what we're going to do is, since I already know that I like the way that this layer style looks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, because this is called the layer style. The effects are called the layer styles that are right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this layer style. Yeah, so this is definitely not going to be a fast tutorial. Like, it's only taking long because I'm explaining it. Like, if I was just running through trying to do this, it would have probably only took about like 5-7 minutes. But I could see that I don't even know what time. Oh man, 20 minutes, forget about it. Yeah, you're going to be here for a while. But all right, cool. So what we're going to do is I want to copy this layer style. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this layer and I'm going to go to copy layer style. And then I'm going to go to this other ellipse and then I'm going to say paste layer style. Ta-da, and it's already there. Now you could change them independently of each other. And I'm going to just close these down so I don't have to, so I could keep everything relatively organized. Let me close all of this right now. That way I can have my layers. All right, cool. So now you could also, because as you can see that these images are a little bit bigger, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize these. So what I'm going to do is, to make sure that I get all of them, I'm going to group them. So I'm going to select all of them, and then I'm going to press Control G, and then I'm going to just say this. These are the photos. If you're looking for any the photography tutorials, definitely check out Frono's photos. Guy's hilarious, and he knows a lot about photography too. I love his tutorials. I only wish that my tutorials could be as helpful as his. All right, cool. So I'm gonna move these over to the side, and as you can see, we resized everything because it's inside the group, and then you resize the group, everything resizes equally. So I'm gonna just resize this panel again just to make sure it looks decent, yo. I'm gonna resize this one again and press enter, and then what I will do is I'll move this around just to make sure it's centered. It looks about right. It's not lining up for some reason. I don't know, but we're gonna come over here and we're gonna work on this part now. So I'm gonna just grab this, put this on top. Now we can see get 1,000 email subscribers. So now we're gonna add some text, and to add some text, all you have to do is hit the T key, as we already showed a second ago. And as you can see, it changed to, it looks like I forgot what that's called, but you know what? It doesn't matter. All you gotta do is just click inside of the artboard, and then you're gonna see the text icon right there. So text cursor and whatever. So I'm gonna say get 1,000 email subscriber. Let me see. Oh man, not 100. Who wants 100 email subscribers? I don't want 100. I want 1,000. I mean, everybody wants 1,000. Nobody don't want no 100. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. All right, cool. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just yeah, we're gonna skip all of that. All right, cool. So it is spelled correctly, and then we're gonna come down here. I'm gonna just do this, and then I'm going to grab inside of here, and I'm gonna select everything, and I'm gonna change the font to something like Rosario. Let's see, what does that look like? Looks about right. All right, cool. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna move this over because it is centered along here. I'm not gonna mess with this dotted line. For some reason, I have trouble with dotted lines inside of Photoshop. Dotted lines just don't like me. I mean, I could recreate it, but that's a design element I'm not gonna worry about. All right, cool. So we're gonna say get 1,000, and then instead of using this one, I'm gonna just, because I want to take this font, so I'm gonna just duplicate this one, resize it bigger. Then with it, so make sure that the text tool is selected with the layer selected, and I should be able to just change this to a bold. Do we have a black? No, we don't have a black. I could probably change a different font, find a different font, but it's great the way it is. And yeah, but instead of just doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of these layers. So you have both text layers selected with the text tool, selected. Now you can just come over here to the color picker for the text, and we can go over here and change the color for both of them. And you can see we changed both colors at the same time. All right, cool. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create this. No, matter of fact, I need to change this because that's not what they were saying at the bottom. What they were saying was in 30 days or less. That's an amazing, amazing offer right there. ConvertKit, go check them out. That website seems very, very helpful as far as with your email marketing. You don't have any email marketing going on, you don't have a viable business. Yada 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 yada. All right, cool. So now we're gonna do the lower third, and to do that, once again, we are gonna create another shape. Or am I? If this thing tells me one more time, then I'm running out of space. All right, cool. So instead of creating an entirely new layer, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just duplicate this one that I have right here, and I'm gonna just press Control J. As you can see, this red background layer, and I'm gonna just press Control J, and as you can see, we just duplicated that. Then I'm gonna just press Control T. Or matter of fact, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the color first. So we come over here to the shape tool, the rectangle, and I mean rectangle layer. What am I talking about? Shape tool. I'm thinking of After Effects. Probably, I don't know. All right, cool. So as you can see, that is a different layer. That way we can see it. Press Control T to resize it. Bring it down. Bring it down. Bring it down. Bring it down now. Bring it down. Bring it down. Bring it down now. All right, cool. So now we have this set up. And with this lower third, I'm gonna call it a lower third. That's just a video reference. It's just a little bar right here with a gradient. Now we need to add the gradient to it. And I'm gonna move this a little bit up. That way we can see what we're doing with this shape. All right, cool. So we move that up so we can see what's going on. And I'm gonna grab this layer. What is this thing? Yeah, layer mask. All right, cool. So we're going to add a layer mask. No, not to there. We need to make sure that this is selected, the right layer selected. Then we're just going to come over here to the bottom and add a layer mask. And as you can see, we have a layer mask on our layer. We have a mask on our layer. And this is where we're going to add our gradient. So we're going to press, you could either press Shift G or just G, depending on which one you have selected at the time. So we're going to come over here and press the gradient tool, select the gradient tool, and make sure that linear gradient, that's what we want. If you want to do a circular one, you'll do radial, and radial is circular, and the linear is just in the line. And we're going to make sure that it's set to, I believe it's this one, the first one. That way it goes from background to foreground to foreground to background. One of them is what we want. And this is all you have to do is just come down to the layer. You could do it anywhere inside of the project or the file. And all you're gonna have to do, as you can see, if you look at this graphic that's around the 30, that's when the gradient starts, and then it like completely ends at the end of this word, at the end of less. So we're gonna do the same thing. So around 30, we're gonna start here. We're just gonna drag the line now. As you can see, the line is free moving until you hit shift and it locks it down. And we're going to see which one we have. All right, cool. So we're going to need to do that from a different direction. And you could change the gradient to either background or foreground, but I'm going to just do it from this side and come back and make sure that we stop around the 30. And as you can see, we now have the lower third fading out almost exactly the same. We're almost there, everybody. We are almost there. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the same font from everything. And I'm going to just come down here with this layer. I'm going to just select this text layer. And then what I'm going to do is press T to bring up the text tool. That text layer is selected. And then I'm going to do the same thing they did here. That the color of this text is the color of this background, and that's exactly what I want. Now, unfortunately, since the text was on top of there, it's invisible now. So all we have to do is just press Control T because the layer is selected, and we can see that this is the layer. And you can see that the object just comes up saying, "Congratulations, we now have everything we need." And we're gonna resize. We're gonna scale this down a bit, and as you can see in the graphic, it's lowercase. So we're going to come over to the character styles, and we're going to take off this all caps. That way we can have this say free training, or we could have this say free training, much like there. And I don't know if this is bold. Let's see if this is bold. I'm going to just bold that out. Let's see. What do we got? Perfect. I'm going to hit Control T to resize that up again, just to make sure that you get a decent size. And you can make this whatever size you want. Obviously you can, right? I mean, who's going to tell you what to do? This is your world. You do what you want. You do what you want. All right, cool. So now you need to add that logo. Do I still have that email logo? I might just use this one. All right, cool. So I was originally just duplicating it, and then I saw this right here. So I was like, okay, you know what? I need to add an email logo. And I forgot that ConvertKit, their logo is an envelope. So I added this wrong, but we're just going to say, like, say you just wanted to add the email there anyway. Like for some reason this is your logo, and you don't have it. You don't have your logo cut out. So I'm gonna show you how to cut this out real quick. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna go over to the magic wand, and with the layer selected, as you can see, the color that you choose, the pixels that you hit is gonna select all of the conjoining ones, consecutive, or whatever it's called, and then it's going to select all of them, the similar pixels that are connected, and then we're going to do the same thing for the bottom here. Nope. All right, perfect. Now we have the top selected and the bottom selected. All I did was just hit shift. That way, like, you could select this, and then if you select this, it'll just change it. But if you want to add to the selection, then you would just hit shift. And now as you see, the magic wand now has a plus, and then it'll turn like this. That way you can add multiples to it. I should have just left it as difficult as it was to grab that. Congratulations, I'm awesome. All right, cool. So now what we're going to do is with these pixels selected, we're going to come down over here to layer mask. And with the layer mask, you can see that it just masked out what we didn't want. So we're just going to press Control and I, and that's going to invert the mask. That way we get to see what we want. And in another tutorial, I'll probably explain to you how masks work, but it's not really important for right now. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put this down here next to here. And that's about right. I'll scale this up a bit. Why not, right? I mean, this is your ads. You could do whatever you want. All right, now I just noticed one thing that we are missing. And I got to add that little box right there. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another shape. Nope, not a circle. I'm going to create a rectangle. All right, cool. That's perfect. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just change the color real quick. No matter of fact, since I want it to be the same color as here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this and then I'm going to rotate it. Now to rotate it is just the same thing as the resize. Press Control T and move over to one of the corners, and then you'll see the rotate. You'll see that the tool moves from the resize. Like, you have the arrow to move it around, and then you have the resize. That way if you want to resize, then you see that it'll change shapes depending on where you are. And right over here, it shows that it's in the rotate mode, and we want to rotate it 45 degrees. And come over here, put this right here. And as I can see, this text is a little bit too big. So we'll just resize it down, move it over. Now I believe that should be it. Now you could use these principles that you just learned to create all sorts of images inside of Photoshop. But stay tuned for this tutorial series, as I'm going to just keep showing you how to recreate ads from professional Facebook ad designers. And you'll learn Photoshop, and you'll learn how to create Facebook ad images. And you can use these techniques to go to other social networking platforms as well. And you'll be able to create images for those ad networks.